seeing the push and pull at Columbia University. There are some students who are just trying to wrap up their academic year. They do not want to be brought into the protest. There are some students who are so committed to the protest that they are risking suspension. And then there are a lot of people that are in the neighborhood on campus who are involved in some way, motivated with a particular viewpoint.
It has expanded in such a way that it now touches so many more people than it probably even originally meant to.
Oh, some people are fired up and some people are annoyed. I mean, it's the full spectrum.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll get to Alyssa Palicelli and Roger Clark, who are both at Columbia campus this morning, but first to Guy on our Tuesday forecast.
And temperatures all over the place. Yesterday, almost tied a record. Today, temperatures are now only making it to the mid-60s, so cooling off. And I'd bring the umbrella with you tonight. I am tracking just a few showers that will be moving in.
You can place a bet that it will be another tense day at Columbia. Overnight, protesters moved from the university's west lawn and forced their way into one of the academic buildings. Protesters left their encampment at about midnight, seizing Hamilton Hall. They've been seen linking arms and blocking the entrance to the building. That unrest comes just hours after the school gave protesters the option to either come forward and end the protest and agree to follow the school's disciplinary code, or face suspension. Alyssa Palicelli is back at Columbia this morning. Alyssa, what are you seeing and what are you hearing from your perspective?
Well, Pat, we have learned that now the access point here on Amsterdam Avenue and 116th Street is the only gate allowing only campus residing students and necessary faculty inside campus today. So access has been restricted to the Columbia's main campus here in Morningside Heights. And we are on Amsterdam Avenue, where you can see Hamilton Hall that has been seized and taken over by students overnight. And we have also learned that there are finals scheduled inside that building for later this week. But now a banner that reads "Free Palestine" hangs from one of the windows that was placed there by student protesters who gathered there and took over the building a couple hours ago. This is the most serious escalation we have seen on campus since the NYPD was invited on by the university just a couple days after the encampment started. Around 2 o'clock this morning, about 12 hours after the university said it was going to begin suspending students a part of this encampment if they did not disperse, students stormed and seized Hamilton Hall, which they have renamed Hins Hall in honor of who they call a 6-year-old Ghazian martyr who was killed during this Israel-Hamas war. Now, in this video, you can see pro-Palestinian students are breaking glass windows on one of the doors to Hamilton Hall. Students are reportedly using zip ties and furniture to barricade the door to this academic building. Early this morning, there were steady chants coming from both Hamilton Hall and the encampment on the lawn inside campus. That has since subsided. We asked a graduating student about his thoughts on this latest move from student demonstrators.
Well, it seemed like things were quieting down yesterday, but obviously they seem to pick back up. And I'm not sure. It's a tough situation for the administration. It's a tough time in the world. And I don't know. My personal take is I wish we would just kind of come together. It's been super divisive. As for that, it looks like they're breaking stuff in there. That's not my thing. So we'll see how it ends.
Now, Hamilton Hall has had a history of being taken over by students at Columbia during several student movements, including the civil rights movement, as well as the anti-Vietnam War movement, and now, of course, by these pro-Palestinian demonstrators. The student organizer groups have released statements saying that they are going to continue to occupy Hamilton Hall until those 3 demands that they have are met, which is for the university to divest from Israel, to be more transparent with their financial holdings, and to grant amnesty to those who have been involved in these demonstrations. And Pat, we've been speaking to some students who have since left campus, but were on campus this morning, and they say that students a part of this demonstration are sleeping in front of the entrance to Hamilton Hall to protect the students that are inside and to block access to the building that they now control.
But Alyssa, from outside, it's quite quiet. NYPD still at the perimeter rather than on campus?
Yes, NYPD is still set up at the gates as they have been since this encampment began. We've seen that repeatedly the several days that we have been here. We do see a lot of activity from students who live off of campus, kind of moving around, many of them with backpacks, presumably some of them going to study for the finals that are supposed to take place later in this week. So many of them looking on at all the media that is here, but also at what they can see from the outside of what's going on campus.
Alyssa, thank you. One of the challenges for colleges in handling the student protest is to find that line between hate speech and the open exchange of controversial ideas. Students of all backgrounds and religions are wrestling with that.
They better not try that in family court.
Who's been speaking out is Nick Baum, a freshman at Columbia. He's with us now from just outside the campus. Nick, good morning.
Good morning.
What message would you send to Columbia's administration after seeing what's been happening overnight and over the last couple of weeks?
Well, I'll tell them one thing. Never would I have ever would have predicted that as a Jewish student at Columbia's joint degree program with the Jewish Theological Seminary, that there would come the day when I would not even be allowed on campus. But right now we're seeing, after students barricaded themselves and hijacked Hamilton Hall, that I'm not even allowed on campus. And I think some of that is owed to the fact that Columbia doesn't believe that they can secure my safety. And so that's a serious problem for the administration. But when you
No, they don't want you to join in,
not all of
motherfucker.
them are Columbia affiliated, by the way, but when you see non-Columbia affiliated protesters dressed in all black, hiding their identity, taking over a building, and one of the banners that they unfurled said Intifada. Intifada being the violent set of events that killed numerous Jewish innocent civilians in Israel over the course of a few years. And so that's what I see when I think of that, and it's really frightening.
So I have a clip here from one of the protesters as they were speaking yesterday. This was after the school had issued the ultimatum. She feels that the university has not been listening to what the protesters have to say. I'm going to play that and then have you react to that.
Universities are supposed to help students grow and challenge ideas, but recently they have not. Recently they have been investing in genocide, and recently they have been censoring students and not protecting Palestinian students.
Nick, is there a way that you feel as a Jewish student that that message could be delivered, but yet you wouldn't be prevented from moving around campus or feeling unsafe?
Absolutely. And as a matter of fact, when I walk around the encampment, I don't necessarily feel unsafe. I feel that what we've seen at the encampment, for the most part, has been a peaceful expression of students' freedom of speech. And I'm completely in support of it, even if I disagree with it at the end of the day. But a line is drawn, obviously, when you barricade yourself in a building where finals are later going to be taken, and that's taken out on me as I can no longer even make it to campus in the first place. And I think, to a certain extent, that may be true, that the university has not been fully listening to encampment leaders. But what we've seen in the process is that the university has put out a number of offers for the encampment in exchange of them disbanding. One of them including investments in Gazan health and education, investments in early childhood development in the region, investments in scholarships for Gazans, and they rejected that in order to keep their encampment up simply because they wouldn't divest from Israel. So it sounds like they're more intent on hurting Israel than helping Gaza.
Do you think the school's going to follow through on the suspensions?
I can't see why they would not. I mean, in light of finals coming up soon, in light of graduation coming on soon, you may well sense that it's only a matter of time until the university puts their foot down and actually starts to take legitimate action.
Nick, we appreciate your perspective this morning. I know it's early mornings and late nights around campus there. Thanks for making some time for us.
Thank you.
It's 10 minutes after 7 o'clock. Now we check in with Jamie.
Yeah, we have a lot of subway problems to deal with. The roads are still very quiet, but bear with me here. Let's go through some of this. E, F, and M and R trains are delayed. There's a signal problem over in Queens at Forest Hill 71st Avenue. So again, delays on E, F, M, and R trains because of that signal problem. And then we're also separately dealing with a problem on F and G trains. That is over at J Street, a signal problem there. And then a new problem on the 1 train, where we have downtown trains running express only. They are investigating why emergency brakes were pulled over at 125th Street. So a lot going on the rails, not a lot going on the roads. That's the headline right now at 7:11 in the morning. No major crashes or closures. Quiet for one more day here while the kids remain on spring break. But foggy as we try to look at the Brooklyn Bridge, and at least traffic is light. You can at least see that much, Pat.
And enjoy it while you can, because we're back to school tomorrow. Another view of Manhattan here as we check in with Guy on the weather on the One's forecast.
And our Statue of Liberty Harbor cam. Can't really make out the skyscrapers this morning. Yeah, it's just gray out there with visibility falling to right around 5 miles. Temperatures are in the mid-50s, so a little cooler compared to yesterday morning. Yesterday morning, we were waking up to temperatures in the mid to upper 60s. Highs today will be right around 66. We'll do it with mostly cloudy skies, maybe a few peaks of sun. Rain chances are low today, so don't expect to find much of any rain throughout the day, but this evening, carry the umbrella, a few passing showers. Lows will fall right back to the mid-50s. Right around 9 o'clock, you'll see again a few passing showers, 56, and then clouds really just ruling. Some showers tonight could linger into tomorrow morning. But guess what? Tomorrow afternoon by lunch, tomorrow evening, increasing sun, temperatures in the 70s, mid-70s Thursday, some sun and clouds. Friday, Saturday, clouds are back, few showers Sunday, clearing Monday.
Coming up, you've seen them on the subway, kids with their parents selling candy. The city wants them to know that there is an alternative, support and school programs so they can stop selling candy.
This portion of the news is brought to you by the Who's Tommy. The rock opera masterpiece returns to Broadway. See it, feel it, you won't forget it.
Getting the right new windows with Pella was simple. Our dedicated Pella advisor was a godsend.
We had confidence in Pella. They sold over 5 million replacement windows and doors.
So we knew our local team would be on top of every detail.
And the installation was done in just a day.
At Honda, we've chased down a lot of dreams, each one leading to the next. All the way to our latest. Introducing the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue. Our latest innovation on the road to being carbon neutral by 2050. And certainly not our last.
Back to the Future is now on Broadway.
1955? If they don't meet, they won't fall in love, they won't get married, and neither you nor your siblings will ever be born.
Whoa, this is heavy. Experience the award-winning Best Musical, Back to the Future. Now on Broadway. Get your tickets yesterday.
If there's one thing we like, it's choices. And your Ford dealer is the place to start. With a full lineup of vehicles and available powertrains. Get your ideal combination of power and capability with gas, hybrid, or all electric. But more important than the power you choose is what you choose to do with it.
Right now, returning lessees can get a Ford Explorer for $369 a month, only at your local Ford stores.
Getting beautiful windows with Pella is easy.
And we're confident because Pella offers the Pella Care Guarantee, which covers the product and installation. They perform over 7,000 quality checks in a typical hour.
They really take pride in what they do.
Like us.
This portion of the news is brought to you by Visit Williamsburg. Here, life moves at one pace. Yours. Plan your trip today at visitwilliamsburg.com.
Welcome back. Our Tuesday business headlines. The corporate drama continues at Paramount. Chief Executive Bob Bakish has stepped down from his role. He'll be replaced by an office of the CEO filled by 3 company executives. Williams-Sonoma has agreed to pay a $3 million penalty for falsely claiming some of its products were made in the USA. The Federal Trade Commission has sued many of the products found to be made in China. The FTC says this is the largest ever made in the USA case. And after months of backlash from baseball players and fans, Nike has agreed it will modify the new Major League Baseball uniforms. Complaints had ranged from transparent pants to name letters that were too small. to sweat stains changing the color. A memo from the MLB Player Association confirms that the uniforms will be modified by the start of the 2025 season. The Donald Trump criminal trial picks up again today. On Friday, banker Gary Farrow testified. That testimony expected to resume today. Farrow was talking about working with Trump fixer Michael Cohen, making arrangements to pay $130,000 to porn star Stormy Daniels. Cohen has not taken the stand yet, but he is expected to at some point. He's been keeping busy in the meantime, doing nightly live streams on TikTok, talking about Trump and the trial. The city's going to start handing out flyers to migrant families to discourage them from selling candy on the streets with their kids. The flyers and handcards will state that unlicensed selling is illegal. The mayor's office says flyers will be posted at shelters, which will include contact information to help migrants access schools and childcare. Unlicensed spending on the subways or the streets violates several laws, particularly child labor laws. State law requires children the ages of 6 to 16 to be enrolled in school. Up next on Mornings at 1, we prepare for the Tony Award nominations later this morning. Frank DeLella joins me next for a preview, and then join us at 9 o'clock when the nominations will be handed out.
Share your joy before the big day with a classic Unique Clinique event. Pamper yourself and your goals with our lovely bridal party. A very special day full of beauty and wellness, including drinks, delicious eats, and the most relaxing and beautifying treatments on the planet. All in the luxurious, elegant surroundings of Brooklyn's most advanced beauty and wellness spa. Special packages available as well as catering selections. Call or visit to make reservations and learn more. Nothing sets the mood for a wedding to remember like a beauty day at Unique Clinique.
Megavision Brooklyn, South Brooklyn's optical and designer eyewear store since 1995. Our optometrists and staff offer eye and diagnostic exams, contact lens fittings, and more. Shop sunglasses and frames from your favorite brands like Chrome Hearts, Cartier, Tom Ford, and more. Enjoy 50% off all sunglasses in store. For all your optical and eyewear needs,
We invite you to our office for a clearer and brighter, healthier future for your eyes. Call us now to make an appointment.
The world's beauty is seen and experienced through your eyes. Dr. Isaac Hershitz is an eye doctor with over 30 years of clinical experience. Will help you keep your eyes healthy. Using latest technologies, Dr. Hershitz successfully diagnoses and treats any problem you might have. Glaucoma, retinal issues, cataracts, optical nerve damage, and diabetic changes to the eye. Without proper eye care, you won't be able to capture vivid colors and happy memories. You can be sure that Dr. Hershitz will take care of you and your loved ones.
Scholar Athlete today for additional details and to nominate a deserving student athlete.
Off Topic on Politics, a weekly podcast that digs into the latest New York City political news and stories. Available now on the Spectrum News app.
Big change from yesterday. Fog in New York City on a Tuesday morning. Here's a guy with the forecast.
And a big temperature drop, too, compared to yesterday. I mean, temperatures should be around the mid-60s, so seasonal temperatures today, but this east wind will keep sky conditions mostly cloudy. Maybe a peak of sun for the afternoon, but we'll have some developing showers later this evening. You can see Futurecast picking that up. There's 9 o'clock, and then the rain continues to push off to the north and east. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., maybe a few pockets of sun, but still clouds and a few spot showers in the vicinity, most of it east. And then we'll just see some clouds, sun throughout the day. Tomorrow, generally quiet. So tonight, 55, few showers. Recapping things from this perspective. You'll see a northeast wind tonight, so that wind will turn more north, and then we're back to a little bit of an east wind tomorrow, but temperatures back to the 70s. Some sun and clouds on Thursday with temperatures in the mid-70s, and then you'll see finishing the 7-day cooling down before warming back up early next week.
An hour and a half from now, we will learn the Tony nominations, the 77th annual. 36 shows are eligible for nominations for Broadway's biggest award this year. On-stage host Frank DeLella is taking a look back at the shows from this past season and at some of the performers who can expect that they will hear their names called this morning.
I mean, I remember walking around the theater district as a, young person and looking at all of the marquees and looking at all the production photos in the, outside the theater and just thinking, wow, what's that like to really do this? And now here I am, and it's wild, to say the least.
It's very moving to see people lost in a play and looking at it with this sense of wonder.
I have existential nausea before every show. I just I don't want to do it. I am so tired. I hate it. It's awful. I gotta do this stupid play again. And then you get on stage and it starts to happen, and it happens in the moment, and it'll never happen again. And there's something about that that's just magic.
What you have here is Broadway theater magic. The three of you have been on Broadway many times before. This doesn't happen all the time. This is so special. Do you feel that?
Every day, right?
Yeah.
We feel it every day.
We do all love each other so much and love watching each other in this show so much that it is very special.
It's been totally extraordinary. This cabaret is born, almost sort of, New York is in the fabric of the piece in so many ways. And also, as a British actor, Broadway is the thing. It's the most seductive place on earth.
I remember seeing a photo of Dr. King backstage at the original production.
How special is that?
The picture says so many words.
Yeah. When I look at that picture of Dr. King, and I imagine what his calendar must have looked like, but that he found time to make it to a Broadway theater. I hope that that means something to a modern audience, and that they might wonder, what's that little old show that Dr. King saw?
Today in rehearsal, when the line says, "See my face in lights," or my name on marquees found down on Broadway, I wrote that line, but it never hit home like how it's hitting home right now.
See my face in lights, or my name on marquees found down on Broadway.
This is the moment now every year we get to pin Frank down for some predictions.
Stop, I have the chills. I need to take all of that in for a moment.
Well, let's just say a lot of the folks in that piece will be very happy this morning. Most of them.
So you put together a list of shows to watch. Let's put that up and talk about some of the shows on here. We saw Sarah Paulson in that piece. And,
Appropriate. Yeah, she's in a revival of Appropriate. That will absolutely get some love. And Sarah will get some love this morning. This is her first time back on a Broadway stage in over 10 years. She's a real theater veteran who went off to Ryan Murphy land to do American Horror Story and all that amazing work on television, but she's home. And she will be acknowledged for her work in Appropriate this morning.
You mentioned in the past few days that Hell's Kitchen was reworked and got a lot of acclaim for the way they reworked it. Merrily We Roll Along is on the list of shows that will likely get some love this morning. Pearly Victorious and Stereophonic really seems like a lock.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a huge hit off Broadway, Pat. You could not get a ticket when it was playing at Playwrights Horizons in the fall. It moved to Broadway, and right now it's a huge hit. Everyone is flocking to it. Basically, when we walk into the theater, we're watching this band from the 70s record their second album, and the trials and tribulations that come with that. It's a pretty extraordinary work.
In some past years, there's been an obvious front runner for Best Musical. Hamilton, Dear Evan Hansen. Shows that come in and sweep the whole thing oftentimes.
Not this year.
Really?
Not this year. There are 15 new musicals that are eligible for those 5 or 6 slots for Best New Musical.
You think there might be 6?
There could be. If there's a tie, there will be a 6th slot. But shows that I think we will see, definitely Hell's Kitchen. I think Illinois, the dance piece, Sufjan Stevens' dance piece, and I think we'll see The Outsiders as well. But those other 2 or 3 slots, we're not sure. But It's pretty exciting. We do not know what's going to win Best Musical this year, so the race is on once the nominations come out.
Musical and musical revival are separate categories. Does Merrily We Roll Along roll over the competition?
Merrily We Roll Along is going to do very well today, and it's going to do very well at the Tonys, and I'll leave it at that.
I think it's fun when the love is sort of spread around. I mean, it's exciting for a show, when a show like Hamilton comes in and everyone is excited about it, but it's a little boring when it's like one show sweeps the whole thing.
We saw in your setup piece there, Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah.
This is now his fifth time on Broadway. Never nominated.
Never nominated. And really, this is the community, the critics really embraced him with this production. And, you know, he's proven himself now as a star, and it's going to be a very good morning for him and potentially a very good day at the Tonys for him.
Frank, glad you could come in early this morning. We got a busy morning coming up a little bit later here. So Frank rejoins me at 8:50 this morning ahead of the live Tony nomination announcement, which happens at 9. Up next, more on the protests at Columbia. Protesters have now forced their way into an academic building on campus. School officials issued an ultimatum yesterday afternoon, and most of the students did not comply.
New York One's Weather on the Ones is brought to you by your local Ford stores. Take the season by storm in a weather-ready Ford SUV. View current offers at buyfordnow.com.
Have you been injured in an accident of any type, suffered from medical malpractice, or been a victim of police brutality? You may have a legal right to receive money damages.
To find out, call us at 1-800-447-HURT.
Call now.
Milo's Rewards credit card saves us 5% on the things we need. 5% off, 5% off, 5% off.
And as loyalty members, we get points toward Milo's money for the things we want.
Oh, we want this.
The all-new Milo's Rewards loyalty program is here. Download the app to join, earn, and save today.
The Who's Tommy is electrifying, delivering a seismic jolt to the Broadway season. It's a masterpiece, raves the Tribune. Galvanizing, declares the New York Post. And Entertainment Weekly says, see it, feel it, you won't forget it. The Who's Tommy.
The sound that ignited Broadway is back.
Good morning, he's on down the road.
The music, the voices, the legend returns. The Wiz, now on Broadway for a limited time only.
It's the summer of $9.99 at Bob's.
And we're celebrating with 3 4-piece bedroom sets with gorgeous finishes and features for just $9.99 each. When the looks you love go for $9.99 or less, there's only one thing to say. Oh, my mom.
Have you been injured in an accident of any type, suffered from medical malpractice, or been a victim of police brutality? You may have a legal right to receive money damages.
To find out, call us at 1-800-447-HURT.
Call now.
At National Floors Direct, get 1 room of genuine Mohawk hardwood flooring installed for just $9.99 with no interest for a full year. Call National Floors Direct at 888-400-FLOOR.
The stories you need to know on this Tuesday morning. Pro-Palestinian demonstrators at Columbia University have now seized Hamilton Hall. That just hours after the school gave students an ultimatum to end the protest or face suspension. More on that in just a moment. Donald Trump will be back in court today for his criminal hush money trial. Gary Farrow expected to continue his testimony. He's the former banker who worked with Michael Cohen. The city will start handing out flyers to migrant families, trying to deter them from allowing their kids to sell candy on subways and streets. Unlicensed vending violates MTA rules and state laws regarding what age that someone has to be working.
Child abuse.
The Knicks are back in the
ACS to go after them instead of creating false narratives on black men.
In this series after their win on Sunday in Philadelphia. Let's take a live look outside. Traffic has been light this morning. This is the last day of our school vacation after a glorious day yesterday.
That is true. We are not getting the same thing today, at least weather-wise. But I do wonder when I think about how quiet it gets during some of these school vacations, is this what it's meant to look like during congestion pricing? Will it be quite this light at times? I don't know, just like thought bubble for a moment.
No, if you want to continue with the thought bubble, is it that parents are driving their kids to school? Is it that parents are staying home because their kids are home? Or is it that all the traffic happens after they drop their kids off at school? Like
Motherfuckers ain't in New York no more, Pat. That's what's happening.
See how that plays out.
Motherfuckers done moved the fuck out.
Today, mid-60s, so good morning all watching. You can see temperatures will be trending about average today. So good morning Harlem, 66, and all the way through Queens, Forest Hills, and Rosedale, you'll see just slightly cooler at 64 this afternoon.
As we have been reporting, pro-Palestinian demonstrators have taken over and are now occupying the Hamilton Hall building on the Columbia University campus. Here's some drone footage from overnight. Dozens of protesters have moved into the building, further escalating the tension between university officials and security officers and the protesters. Here's a closer view as those protesters broke windows during the overnight hours, storming into the building. School administrators sent a text alert to all students. It said that the Morningside campus now has restricted access only to students who actually reside on campus or to staff providing essential services. One of the students is freshman Nick Baum, who I spoke to a short time ago, and asked him what is happening from his perspective on campus.
Never would I've ever would have predicted that as a Jewish student at Columbia's joint degree program with the Jewish Theological Seminary, that there would come the day when I would not even be allowed on campus. But right now we're seeing, after students barricaded themselves and hijacked Hamilton Hall, that I'm not even allowed on campus. And I think some of that is owed to the fact that Columbia doesn't believe that they can secure my safety. And so that's a serious problem for the administration.
Roger Clark is at the Columbia campus this morning. Roger, this is such a challenging story to cover. We don't have full access to campus with live trucks and so on. But if you're outside the perimeter of campus, there are moments when you don't fully realize how much is going on inside campus.
Yeah, Pat, absolutely. Sometimes I take walks from the east side. I go to Riverside Park, and I'll go back through the Columbia campus during normal times. And, it's a nice, pleasant walk, and you're like, wow, I'm on an Ivy League campus. This is kind of cool. But right now, that is not a reality, because we're on Broadway between 116th and 115th, and what I'm seeing here is people getting off their buses, they're going to school, they're going to work, people are going to the Morton Williams supermarket, the folks in the supermarket all looking out the window, checking us out here. There's more media here, there's more police out here, there's barricades, but you really don't get a full sense of what's happening within the enclosed campus of Columbia University right now. Though we have heard some things. Residents here say they've heard the noise over the past few weeks, certainly during the demonstrations. That's something that they found to be somewhat of a nuisance. But otherwise, we also got a chance to talk to some folks who have curiosity about what is happening within the Columbia campus. Check it out.
Well, it hasn't been disruptive. It's been informative to be right where everything is taking place. I'm concerned for the students, and I hope it gets worked out as quickly as possible.
You haven't said like, oh, we should go the other way for our walk because, yeah.
No, it's more like find out what's going on. Oh, let's see in there,
So you guys want to be up here. So you're curious, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
So no concerns about your safety or anything like that?
No. Yeah. No, not at all.
Yes, it really is a stark contrast, Pat, between what we're seeing at Hamilton Hall right now with these demonstrations and with the takeover of a building. And we're talking about
things that happened back in 1968 during the Vietnam War protests and civil rights protests as well. So this is what's happening again, but again, within the confines of the campus that has been extra secured right now. And you heard from Nick, the student who's not even going to be allowed on campus himself today to be able to go to the dining hall. That's it. He said, I'm probably going to have to go get something at Dunkin' this morning because he cannot get to the dining hall to go on campus as a student of the university.
Well, and we don't know exactly what the school administrators have done so far, but in their statement yesterday, they said, we have identified some of the protesters already. If they don't leave campus by 2 p.m., they said, we're going to shut down your security badge. We're going to take you out of eligibility for your classes. You'll have to ask campus security to go back in and get your stuff. Again, Roger, I don't know to what extent they've followed through, but the school was definitely talking tough yesterday.
Yeah, and you could see that, they would like this to be over. Now, I think Nick was telling me, the student, because we had a chance to chat a little bit before he was talking with you, he's got some more classes coming up, and he's got finals. So he wants to be focusing on those things right now, not the idea that he can't get onto campus. And you would think that the university would be concerned with folks like Nick that they would like to have their education continue through until the end of the semester.
The school's made it clear one of their priorities is to use that space on the lawn for graduation just 2 weeks from now. Roger, thank you. 7:37. We'll check the morning coming up.
Yeah, and we're still dealing with a lot of subway problems this morning. EF, M&R trains are delayed both ways. That's because of a signal problem at Forest Hill, 71st Avenue. So keep that in mind traveling through Queens this morning. And then separately from that, we also have delays on F and G trains. That is because there is a signal problem over at J Street. Also, the one train heading downtown running express only because emergency brakes were pulled over at 125th Street. NYPD there investigating the scene and trying to figure out what the cause of that is. In the meantime, on the roads, we do have another quiet day. A lot of green cars out there. Bridges and tunnels are moving along okay. There's a bit of volume here on the Cross Bronx Expressway. It's nice to see that not everyone is immune to a school vacation, for better or worse.
You get a dozen trucks on one section of the Cross Bronx, and it'll slow it down, regardless of whether it's a school holiday or not. 7:38, our morning moment comes from Citi Field. Fans had another chance to take their dogs to the ball game. You remember that
oh man,
the park
fuck
was
you and
rained
your
out a few weeks
goddamn
ago.
dog.